Is virtual reality in education. Who here has heard of VR, virtual reality? Great. So for those of you who haven't, it's this concept that we can program, create a different reality from ours, and then other people can access it and interact with it. Typically how we do that is with these headsets. They usually have screens behind them. Anyone can program something and then you can see it. Nowadays they have like controllers so that you can actually like move things in it. So while this idea has been around since as early as the 1930s, it really got off the ground in the last few decades, and it's receiving a great deal of research and attention from even the public. So while it can typically be used in entertainment, it's getting a lot of traction in video games, or some people watch movies or sports on it. Today I'm going to be looking at how it can be used in education. So first off, experts state learning through VR experience can help even more than traditional learning in some cases. The most important parts are they ran this study over at the University of Warwick in the UK. 99% participants were assigned to either traditional learning, like with textbooks and a teacher, VR or video, and the numbers show that a majority of participants in the VR conditioning showed better performance in remembering information and overall performance. So you can see how in some cases it can be even more advantageous than traditional learning techniques. Another way it can be used with education is it can allow people to safely learn things in dangerous or even impossible environments. So you can see they have like astronaut training. They're doing it in NASA. So it's very, very difficult to get your hands on a rocket or just, use the inside of a space shuttle just to train someone. So using VR, you can show them what it's like to live on a space shuttle, operate on a rocket without having to use, expensive technology. Another thing for deep sea research, it's difficult to get to the bottom of the ocean and very expensive. So to avoid that, researchers can be put into a VR headset, learn that way. Just a few cons regarding VR. It can be a bit expensive. People are trying to mitigate that now. I think the cheapest VR headset you can get is like $10 from Google. It uses your smartphone. It's like a little plastic or cardboard headset. So while it has been expensive the past few years, manufacturers are trying to mitigate that. Also, some users report headaches or nausea. This is typically related to the quality of the images. So you can avoid that if you make sure you're downloading, the right software and avoiding, shoddily made images or environments. So how has this technology been used in the real world for education? In the Arlington Science Focus School, it's this elementary school in New York, I believe. Kids can take field trips to the Smithsonian, so they don't have to take a bus, 10-hour trips to a museum. Can learn entirely with a much cheaper VR headset and computers. These kids even have taken trips to like the Jurassic era. So just again, what was impossible 30 years ago is now possible through this technology. I talked a bit before about how NASA can prepare their astronauts for life on a space shuttle, or the technology they would use in their rockets. And the University of Michigan can use it. This is a screenshot of what you would see were you to be in one of those headsets. They can use that for more effective practicing, and it can be used, say a freshman athlete has only played for like their high school team, and it's a whole new ball game when there's like, that much of a crowd watching them. Can help ease that anxiety before a game. So in conclusion, I hope you've all learned something about this technology. It's not really in the mainstream, so I found it very interesting. How it can be used in many unsafe or impossible fields, and how it can be more effective than even some traditional learning techniques. I find this technology really interesting and possibly extremely helpful when used in the right circumstances. And thank you very much for listening.
Thank you.